Hello and welcome back to Sprite Guard Plays HyperRogue. We have successfully completed a Yendor quest, and we are, it looks like 21 lands, or actually, it looks like 20 lands and change into a Hyperstone quest. But I actually think I might want to change tactic a little bit, because I just saw that I got a comment, and I don't know why YouTube has completely stopped telling me when I get comments, and I have to now actually look into the comments section of the channel manager. But I got a comment from Wonderful Lizard of Oz, who said that the Princess Quest is designed specifically so that it's not possible to bring in orbs, and that the thing to do is to pan so that you center the view on the princess, and then you can actually see which door has the green plate by it. So I think that it might be a good idea to attempt a princess quest. However, before that, I want to knock out the couple of lands that we have started and not finished. And so here we have already an opportunity to get a couple of royal jellies. We only need 3 more. So let's put the blue hyperbugs against the red hyperbugs, and then rather than go into the place where they are having the battle, I think I'm going to instead do this a little bit differently and see if I can get into the blue nest. And hopefully that won't go too terribly. There we go. Oh my goodness, I have forgotten which nest it was. And it looks like I have a rather large red army after me. So let's just grab the 3 royal jellies that we need and try to find some place to pawn off these red hyperbugs. Now, there was another blue nest adjacent to that one, but we've kind of gone too far afield. I think what we can actually do is grab that orb of invisibility and just get out of aggro range. And that is going to let us head out. So one thing that I had considered wanting to do is head out into the ocean. That is something that I think would be fun and interesting. There's a lot of stuff to see there, and kind of my concern is basically that I think that when I start a princess quest, that's going to be where the episode ends. But I also kind of think that going out onto the ocean is not significantly safer, and so I am kind of undecided about what I want to do. But I think that because I got this tip, the best thing to do is collect the remaining HyperRogues that we need. So let's see, what's that? That's an Orb of Winter. We can pick up another dead orb for basically no reason. And we can head into a palace as soon as we find one with a door that we can get through. Let's see, here we go. We can get right into this one, start picking up HyperRogues, start getting into some combat, and hopefully not let things get too out of hand. So let's see how that goes. And so these guys don't have a lot of hit points yet, so they should be not too difficult to fight off, even in groups. But once we start getting kind of deeper in, and we start getting the guys with more hit points and more aggro, things are going to get more difficult, and so we have to be really careful. And I think that is going to make it really challenging to get through the game with the kind of caution that I need. Now, another problem we're going to run into, and I just noticed my joystick is still plugged in, which luckily didn't cause a problem just yet. Can cause pretty big problems if it just starts scrolling. I believe Xeno fixed that in the config so that if you don't have a config saved, then what the default will do is it will not let you pan with the joystick unless you specifically set it to allow you to do that. And so that doesn't help me, because I do have a config that I saved, because I had the config set up for what was it? Words are suddenly failing me. So we already got a vizier at only 7 rugs, so we are going to start a little bit earlier on this quest than I expected. And we need to figure out how to get rid of these 2 skeletons. And they are not really lining up in a way that is very useful. But it looks like we can probably get them onto this side of this trapdoor, and that way we can dispose of them pretty neatly. And that guy only had 3 hit points. Hopefully we don't end up having 4 hit point guys coming at us too much. I was saying something. I had some, like, important point that I was making when I got distracted, but I think that's going to happen a lot. I think that the things to remember are just that we need to be careful and pay lots and lots of attention to what's going on. And of course that is one of the things that I am worst at. So also, we're probably going to need to take a break midway through the princess quest just because it's very long. And I don't have a great deal of stamina, and also I'm doing other things. I'm uploading videos as I am recording this. Let's see, where do I want to go so that I can knock this guy into that pit? I think here, and then there, and that will knock him in. And I don't think that that was significantly faster than just killing him outright, but it was significantly more fun. So it looks like we're going over this way, and we've got a couple more that I haven't been paying attention to. So I will have to chase them down. Let's see, are there any trapdoors I can lead these guys into? Because when there's 2 of them, it kind of becomes more desirable to do that, but it looks like we managed to get around them. And it looks like they may have actually killed our mouse, so I am now actually a little bit lost and not sure... Ah, there's a mouse over there. So where's this one going? Looks like over that way, so we will fight this guy off and try and protect our mouse. I like that the mice are not unique or not rare. I can see this, going in a very different way where you have to actually protect the mouse. And I believe later on we're actually going to have to protect the princess in kind of the way that I'm describing. I believe there's an escort quest that is a part of what we are doing here. I don't actually know, though. So we will have to find out just by going on an adventure. And it looks like the mouse wants us to go through this door, which we can open. Let's see. Yeah, we can open it that way. And that will let us go through. And once again, need to check the corners. Don't see anybody immediately. Nothing's popping out to me. So let's go a few more steps. And main thing we want to scan is the area directly in front of us, but they can also come in from the sides. The stuff that's scrolling off behind us is less of a threat, though I'm not completely convinced that they can't sneak up from behind us, because I think that becoming completely convinced might be dangerous. Okay, so here we have a couple more guys coming up. Can deal with them in not too much time. But now we're going to have to see where this guy wants us to go. Let's see, that will open a door for him. Have to be careful about these red plates. And then over here. And it looks like we're going around... Okay, over this way. It's not always really clear, like, what path we're taking. How the mouse is actually trying to get there, where we're going. Which way are you going, mouse? If I close that door, are you going to... Yeah, it looks like we're going over this way. And then fight this guy off. And it looks like the mouse actually wants us to go back over this way. So I may have actually probably made things a little bit more difficult for us by closing that door. But it did kind of shut off the guard that was after us there. And once again, need to check my corners. Got one coming up from behind us, so... As kind of confirms what I was worried about, it seems like they can sneak up behind us. they don't move faster than us, but I think probably they can move in straighter lines than us, because they probably have a better sense of where they're going than I do a lot of the time, because I'm following this mouse. Where is this mouse trying to go? I guess over there. So we can continue to follow it. But it really does, it feels like we're taking such a twisty, turny path, and I think that there must be a straight line path that we're not taking just because there are so many closed doors. And I'm just so bad at kind of keeping track of what even is a straight line in this game, that we could be actually following a straight line, and just because I keep stepping off of that straight line, I keep losing track of what the line we've been traveling along has been. And it looks like the mouse wants us to kind of go over this way, so let's see if we can get over there and fight off some more guards. And it looks like there's a fat guard who is behind enough walls that I think we are safe from him. And so we will continue on, once again checking our corners, and then taking a few steps toward the mouse, and then checking our corners again. And of course, because the world is projected onto a disc, there are no actual corners that I'm checking. I'm just looking around the edge. And I don't remember how long it's been since I've said this, but I think it's useful to bring up every once in a while, because it's kind of so counterintuitive, is the entire world is contained within the boundary of this disc. It's a kind of projection that projects the entire world onto a infinite world onto a finite area, and it compresses at this asymptotic growth rate, or shrinkage rate, I guess. So as things get closer and closer to the edge of the disc, they get closer and closer together. Distances become mapped to smaller and smaller areas until they're too small to even fit on the screen. Alright, mouse, where are you going? Got another guard after us. There we go. And so I know that someone was asking me for an overview recently of kind of what's going on in this game, and I tried to pull one together, and it didn't go especially well. But I thought that I would kind of go over, because I mentioned I was having this conversation with this person where they were saying, oh, you know, an overview, I kind of feel like I don't have a sense of what's going on. And I said something about, well, I don't completely understand the geometry part myself. And he said, oh, what's there to not understand? And so I want to at least make it a little bit more present, just how kind of difficult the geometry in this game is. And I know that there are other people who watch this who have like done graduate study in this, or, you know, have a at the very least, have a very deep understanding of the geometry, much deeper than my own. And so it's tricky to kind of balance the different kind of the different approaches that I want to take with this, based on the different people that I've talked to who have watched these videos. And I talked a little bit in a previous portion of this episode about how I wanted to kind of how I had one thing in mind of how I wanted to have this channel work, and what I wanted to do with this channel, and who I wanted to appeal to. And then when I found out who was actually watching these videos, I shifted my approach, because I was kind of trying to adapt to who was watching them. So here's where we actually want to scroll the screen, and I don't actually remember how to do that with the keyboard. There we go, it's the arrow keys. So let us take a look and see if we can find a green... Okay, so it is almost on the opposite side. Luckily, there is no opposite side of a heptagon, but it's about as close to the opposite side as it can be. So we need to find our way probably to our Right. And it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 walls that we need to get through in order to get to the prince. And we can actually right-click on the prince. A mouse squeaks at you. It seems that it wants you to go somewhere. That's interesting. What could you find here? Note: in the part of the palace that you are exploring during the quest, the distribution of monsters, pressure plates, and items has been changed somewhat to make it a bit more suitable for less experienced players. The number of monsters does not depend on the number of HyperRogues you have collected, and there are more opening plates. However, even with the normal distribution, it appears that it should be always possible to reach your goal. If you want this challenge, select it from the Special Game Modes menu. So that is the help text for the Prince quest. And then I hit space to center the view on our hero once again. So, the plan, we're going to head over to this green plate over here, and that will hopefully open this door, down here. And then we will go through this door, and we will want to fight this fat guard off. And then, of course, check the edges of the screen for other guards who might be approaching us. Now, I believe this screen plate over here will open up that door. And now I kind of want to actually head back to where I was and make sure that I'm heading still in the right direction. So, yeah, it looks like we want to be around here, along this wall. Now here we're in a red plate room, so we need to be very careful. But it looks like we have some green plates coming up that will probably actually allow us to bypass that room if we have to go through it again. Or at the very least has kind of allowed us to open up the space around us, and that has gotten us quite far in this direction. We've actually been having a bit more success, we've been moving a bit quicker than I am usually accustomed to moving, and so now we need to actually take a look, make sure we're heading in the right direction, and figure out how much further we need to go still. And it looks like we still have 1, 2, 3, 4 walls to go through. And it looks like we are still heading in the correct direction. So that is good to know. So, I want to... that red plate I don't think will actually affect anything, but I want to avoid it nonetheless. So, now we actually are encountering a little bit of difficulty. Because of the way that this pattern branches, we're actually, every time we have to go a step away from the prince, we end up having to go through another pair of doors. And so, for instance, it's not really clear how we're going to get into this room immediately to my character's left. So, I actually want to put a dead orb here to help myself keep track of where I am, where I'm going. Just give myself one more way of navigating. And we're going to move, let's see, this looks like it's actually too far away to open the door that we want to go through. So I am a little bit concerned about how we're going to actually get through here. And I'm not really sure what it is that that we're supposed to do. It looks like there may be enough openings here that we can get. So we want to get to the other side of this wall, I believe. I now actually want to kind of find my way back along here, and this is part of why I put this dead orb here. Okay, so I actually want to even put more dead orbs down, because I want to show myself which wall I want to get on the other side of. So I'm going to put that along each of these doors, just to give myself that extra little hint in navigating the palace. And so now we want to get to the other side of this door, and it looks like once again the green plate that has spawned is going to be just slightly too far away. And so we need to We need to keep going, basically. And just hope that we have a green plate that spawns that is someplace that's useful to us. So once again, this is a wall that we need to get on the other side of. And now we're going to just continue on. It looks like this is going to open up a door for us, but it's not going to open up... Okay, it's going to open up that one. But once again, it's not really going to take us where we want to go. And there's going to be a red plate there that's going to make things pretty dangerous. I don't think it can trap us in here, but it's going to be a hazard, especially since we don't have any way of opening up this door. And we're really getting pushed very far off course at this point. And so I am really worried about whether or not this is going to be possible for us to do. It just seems like there is so much working against us. Okay, so this is actually a little promising. I want to open these doors, and then we can actually go through that one below us, and that will get us to another green plate. And so now we can... Oh, the mouse is squeaking happily now. I wonder if that means that we're getting close to the exit door. Let's see. Okay, so if we keep winding along this, we will need to get into some fights. Because we need to make sure that nobody steps on the red plates around here. That may have been a mistake. I was hoping that it would, but it's too far away to open up the door that I wanted it to open. And so these two red plates are going to be a bit of a hazard. Now, I thought I saw a green plate that was over this way that was useful, and I am not seeing it, so I'm wondering if it was, like, in a different direction, or if it was this green plate just directly below my character that I was seeing, and it turns out not to be useful after all. Yeah, because that does not actually open the door that I need to get through, and so now I have to kind of press my nose against this window, and oh my goodness, it's just spiraling further and further out of control. So what are we going to do? Let's see, we can, I guess, just keep trying to work our way around this wall. And at this point, I'm kind of getting lost as to where it is we're trying to go. So we know that these red plates are kind of marking one of the doors that we want to go through. But I'm going to put, let's see, we want to get on the other side of this door. And so we want to actually loop around this, around that. So yes, we want to get on the other side of that door. And here, finally, is a plate that's going to help us out. And we're going to get into more combat. And now we're going to go around this, and that will let us open up this door. And so that's actually going to get us, I think, a bit closer to where we are trying to get to. But now we have, once again, a bit of combat. And I'm thinking about the best way. How do I get these guys lined up? And in trying to get them lined up, I'm actually pulling more aggro that I really don't have the ability to deal with. And so now I'm actually in a pretty sticky situation that I'm not at all happy about. Oh dear. Oh, that's bad. Well, that's a really disappointing way for that to end, and that's kind of the frustration of going through the palace, is that you can get into those situations where you end up only having one place that you can go. And I kind of botched the tactics toward the end there, those fat guards are very difficult to deal with, and so I need to probably really work on learning the tactics for fighting the fat guards. And it is something that I am going to continue to struggle with probably for a long time. Because tactics, you know, I talked in a previous part of this episode about there being things that I can never get consistent, that I will just be this kind of continual, gradual getting better. And I think this is one of the things, is just paying attention to tactics, and thinking things out ahead is a real weakness of mine. Planning out where I'm going to go and making sure that I have escape routes. There may have been places where I could have, if I had acted a little bit more smartly, if I had been a little bit more careful, I could have gotten out of it, but I let myself fall into a position where I had too many guards on me, and I just wasn't able to fight them off. And so that's going to be just something that I will continue to work on and trying to get better. I'm disappointed that it once again, the Princess Quest has ended this way. It felt like we were really actually starting to make some progress, really starting to get some doors opened, and it felt like we were on the way to actually starting to... It's like we were building up this stack of doors that we needed to open, and it felt like I had kind of opened a door that was now allowing me to move down the stack. And hopefully, eventually, find my way back. And it kind of feels a little bit like the Towers of Hanoi in a very abstract way. It's like you have to move away from the solution, and then you get to a point where you can start moving back towards the solution, but then you have to move back away from it. That kind of sense of like building up a stack and then moving down it and then building up a stack. And I've played a lot of kind of puzzle-y games like that, like Solitaire. Certain kinds of Solitaire have that kind of back and forth feel to them as well. And so I think once I get better at the tactics in the palace, I think I will be able to tackle this again. In the future, what I want to do is actually take on the minefield. I don't remember if I mentioned it in this episode or not, but I have kind of a new strategy for taking on the minefield that I think is kind of cute and fun, and is kind of a mixture of cheesing and cleverness that is really enjoyable. And so I want to try that out. I want to try and conquer the seas, see if we can clear all of the areas in there. And of course I want to try and go on another Hyperstone quest, because that is something that we have not done in a long time, have not done successfully. And there are so many lands that I don't know how many there are, and I kind of want to just do a Hyperstone quest so that I know how many lands there are. But that is all going to have to be in the future. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.